Welcome to another episode, the last Wednesday of March Madness. It has been a little mad, if you ask me, especially the last few days. Welcome to another episode of the Inner Circle Podcast. I am Charlie with my best girlfriend, Melanie.
Hello.
Hello, it's me. How is everyone doing today? How are you doing? How
I'm
was
good.
your weekend?
I had a really lazy weekend. I didn't do shit. Literally binge watched this show that I've been wanting to see because I kept seeing clips of it on TikTok. Have you watched on Netflix Maid? Like I think it's called The Maid or Maid.
No.
It's about this girl who she's down and out in a domestic violence relationship kind of. It's not domestic, well, it's emotional abuse. And it basically is based on a true story. Long story short, she changes her life around to for the better and for her daughter. And it just goes to show how terrible the system is when it comes to like emotionally abused people in relationships because they don't consider that to be domestic violence when emotional abuse is
It's
domestic
real.
violence. It
Yeah,
is horrible.
I've been through it.
Yep. We know. Um touche, touche, my queen. Anyway, so I watched that and that was a good show to watch. And then I honestly didn't do much besides get groceries. And I didn't go get them. I had them delivered.
This Instacart.
No, I don't like Instacart. I'm an
Well,
Amazon
you know what I mean.
person.
Like Instacart in the sense of Amazon, whatever, something
I
instant
will
that you get.
say I used to do Instacart when during the quarantine. That shit was whack. I prefer either shipped from Target or Amazon Fresh. Those are the best options. But how was your weekend?
So my weekend was good. I have to pause and think. My weekend was
I was
good.
like, didn't you travel?
That was the weekend before. My weekend was good this weekend. For the most part, I was looking forward to it. Like not doing anything because I did travel the weekend before, and then I
Yeah.
again thrusted right back into work, so I didn't have no break in between during the week.
Hmm.
Um, so Saturday, I look forward to do nothing. But went out for dinner, which then turned into a little going out. I like spontaneity, but I'm like sure, whatever. But you know,
Where'd you go?
actually, I went back for the second time to this place, and I did a reel. If you follow us on the Inner Circle podcast page on Instagram, I did a reel for this place, this restaurant recently called the Red District in Queens, which I thought of you. I think you will like it, but then I'm like, nah,
Um,
because the music is too loud. And the first time when we went, it was dead. It was on a Sunday.
yeah.
Um, but then we went back again this past Saturday, a week later. The food was cute, the ambiance is cute, the drinks are cute.
Hmm.
But we went on Saturday, and the music was loud,
There was
like
jumping.
loud,
I
and
don't mind that if I'm in that mindset. Like if I just want to turn up and listen to music, then gladly. But if it's a small social gathering or if it's a date, the last thing I want to do is be screaming across from each other. So what do you like to do for fun? Like that's so
yeah, we
weird.
actually between us two, we said it like, yo, it's a little too loud. And honestly, I think the music, I think the music there, whatever, they carried on. Like going out,
Yeah.
I was just like not as pumped out. I was like, think because I had a headache afterwards. I
Oh
think maybe
wow.
from the music, and after you eat and all that to like go out around Jackson Heights, I just felt full, bloated, and with a headache.
I feel like every time that I've gone to a restaurant or somewhere in Queens, it's never been like a place where I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to go back. It's always, I don't know, maybe the crowd and the target demographic, it's a younger. crowd, and I ain't about that life.
Nah,
So
this place was cute. I like again the details, everything. It was pretty dope. Red District in Queens. Check it out if you're in New York. Definitely good food. The ambiance is nice. I definitely
mhm.
like it, but there's so much going on that I have to get into. Like so much. I know we talk. I hit you up about Women's Month. Is that we're ending Women's Month. There's our last episode of the month, and March was Women's Month, so I hit you up with that to talk about that. But there's been so much that has happened and gone down, and I'm telling you, for anyone who's into the astrology and the moon and all that stuff, if
Aren't
they
we in the age of Aquarius?
it, I don't know, Age of Aquarius. I know that the moon is a Libra, this eclipse moon.
Let
And
me. Well, let me see. Well,
listen, and it's just been weird. The last few days, I'm observing people. People are weird. People on some shit. Like, even on the train, like, there's a lot going on. Obviously, we have Candace Dillard announcing that she is leaving Potomac. Robin got fired. And then the drama with Diddy. There's just so much shit going down that it's like,
that's
whoa,
a
whoa.
lot.
This whole Maryland thing, the bridge. So where do we
I'm
even
devastated by that.
where do we even chop in and begin? Take your pick. Go ahead. Take it.
We could
Where
talk
do you
about.
start?
Well, more importantly, we could talk about the bridge because the I
We
forgot
passed
the
that
name.
bridge. Don't we
I
pass that
know.
bridge going to DC?
Yeah, and I've crossed that bridge many a time from New York to DC,
Yeah.
long multiple times. Um, wait, I'm trying to find the name of the bridge because I don't want the
Oh,
Francis
okay.
Scott
Yeah,
Key
yes.
Bridge. So the collapse happened like in the wee hours of the morning.
130.
Yeah. So it sucks that that happened, but if it had to happen any time, like it happening at like 1:30 or like the wee hours of the morning is kind of better because imagine if that would have happened during rush hour.
Ooh, that would have been like a mass
That's
casualty. Like,
insane. And like six people so far have been pronounced dead. Two missing
two were
workers remain to
found.
be
Two were
recovered.
found. Yeah, one was found. One in the critical condition. One's recovering.
That's well, six were
Yeah,
presumed dead. That's
but yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and shout out to officers who I guess basically this cargo ship lost power. They did a mayday, and thankfully a lot of at first they said that there was cars too that went down in a big truck, cargo truck or whatever.
Yeah, it was
But
the from this. It was a Singapore flag container
yeah,
ship. Oh
yeah,
boy,
and
that's
basically cops were able to stop some cars before, like basically, they knew they heard the mayday and traffic wise they stopped cars, but there was workers on the bridge. So, but I mean, if you're able to stop the cars, like how do you? I guess it's kind of hard if they don't have a walkie-talkie or something. Like, how do you not have time to maybe alert the workers? Like, get the fuck off the bridge. Like,
I don't
you get
know.
you get what I'm saying?
It says six members of a construction crew were working on the roadway were reported missing. I mean, maybe they weren't necessarily on the bridge; they were working on the roadway. Well, yeah, that is the bridge.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, two people were rescued from the river. One had no injury. The other was transported to a hospital in critical condition. I'm shook because that's so close to where my job is. Not in Maryland, but Virginia. DMV is so close to each other. Um, it that's I don't know. When I heard that, I was just my first instinct was, oh my god, like is the boat gonna sink? Like the cargo ship gonna sink also because not only did it destroy the bridge, but um I saw like some news reporters asking, "Oh, how long is it gonna take for it to be built back?" And like, what when are you guys gonna start like production on building the bridge? Like, who gives a fuck about that? Think about
Yeah.
the people that are still like missing. So I don't know. Best wishes to them. Condolences to the dead.
Definitely. Now I know you said you was watching a new show on a show on Netflix made, but have you caught up with a show that a lot of people are buzzing and talk about, which is Quiet on the Set, the
Oh,
dark reality of kids TV, which came out on IDTV, but you could also stream it if you have Max. You could stream it on HBO Max or Max, whatever whatever it's called now, whatever you choose to call it. I binged the first four episodes so quick when this
Same.
initially came out. Where do I even start? Basically, I have notes. I don't know if you wanna kick things off, but this details Dan Schneider, who was a big guy. I remember the name Dan Schneider. He even went to name. He gave himself the name of this actor on All That because I used to watch All That. Named Dan, the guy. I don't know if you remember All That. The guy who
Yeah.
used to go get the kids. His name was Dan, named after Dan Schneider. Basically, Dan Schneider was the mastermind from a lot of our hit shows, beloved shows like All That, The Amanda
Yeah.
Show, Drake and Josh. And the thing is, this documentary detailed his creepy ways.
Mm.
Basically, having people massage him on set. When you look at certain things now as an adult through adult lens eyes, we looking at things that he made. His writers, he made whatever. I mean, it's him and his writers writing this. Like you look at Ariana Grande doing skits
Yeah.
about
They had
eggs.
double entendres.
They had double entendres, feet. He
Mhm.
was, and listen, we know people are feet people. Larsa Pippen, hello you. She's making back from just
Martin.
sending pictures of her toes. So we know it's such a thing. So it's not far fetched to be like, is this guy like
You want me to read the synopsis?
yeah, go ahead.
So, quite on set, the dark side of kids TV depicts the rise of television producer Dan Schneider, who was accused of fostering a hostile work environment. The series begins with Schneider's work in chronological order, starting from his big hit show, which you just mentioned, All That, which started airing in 1994. Um, they interviewed a bunch of writers and a bunch of people that accused Schneider of underpaying them and presiding with rampant misogynistic cultures in the writers' room. When I first initially started watching it, I was like, "Oh, this is automatically going to be about child abuse and like sexual stuff that happened in before, not before, but like during the set." But it first initially started painting the picture of how he grew into power and they let him run wild and let
Yeah.
him do shit because he was bringing in so much like viewers and audiences and stuff. And then it gets creepier when you start seeing the relationship that he had with like young teens like
Yeah.
Amanda Bynes and Miranda Cosgrove. I don't know. And
Victoria
even
Justice.
Victoria Justice.
Jeanette McCurdy, who wrote a book about it.
She,
Her
she
book
wrote
really
a
stood out.
autobiography, I think.
About I'm glad the title really stands out. Is one of the smartest, clever titles that I've seen out
I'm
there.
glad my
I'm
mother.
glad my mother's dead. Yeah. Um, for many reasons, I think that's clever, and she details her relationship with her mother, and it's talked about kind of on this documentary. Brian Peck, who was charged with back then abusing a back then 15, 16 something year old who was never revealed. Um, they call it corporal oral sex, and so on. He was actually charged, Brian Peck, and it's revealed that this person that he abused was Drake Bell. And in this documentary, Drake Bell details and talks about it. The dad, it's crazy how the dad, listen, intuition is
Hmm.
real. Intuition is real, and sometimes people will make you feel crazy, or and you may feel crazy yourself, but intuition is real. And the dad knew, the dad fucking knew, and the mom, you've seen it. So Drake Bell, I
That
missed this.
part, that part really got me. It was really
Yeah,
sad because if you think about it, if you put yourself in those shoes now, I think a lot of people are more. Hate to say this word, but a lot of people are more woke now, and they are a little bit more alert and on high alert when it comes to things and labor laws and child laws and shit like that. But back then, I think people were just so enamored to be in television and make it in Hollywood and also be making so much money at a young age that these parents did not give a fuck. They were just like making sure that their kids were bringing in the bacon. And it sucks because not only was Brian Peck one of the pedophiles and predators, but it was multiple. It was like
You
at
had
least three
multiple
of
people
them.
hired by him, by Dan Schneider.
Yeah.
And with that being said, there's going to be another episode dropping April 7th
Mhm.
with more details, and Jake Bell is going to be featured in this. I'm hooked. It kind of is a double edged sword, and it's sad, and it's gonna go into our next story after this that we're gonna talk about, but because it's kind of like our childhood tainted. You know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
glued to this to, and we're like we're open to it, but at the same time it's like damn, like it's kind of hard now when you watch all that and you watch certain things. Yeah, some people may still be able to watch it fine, but there's still now that pocket of like,
Mhm.
but the
I think
taint of stuff.
I don't just associate it just by one show. I associate it with the channel itself. Like now
Yeah,
I can't really think of
facts, facts.
Nickelodeon or Disney because I think of like how fucked up they treated those kids. And Corey Feldman, everyone can say what they will about Corey Feldman. He has been a weirdo for a while, but he and Corey Haim have talked about this shit for years. They had a
Yep.
documentary. I watched it after I finished watching Quiet on the Set. It was called My Truth, the rape of two Coreys. And basically they were saying that allegedly Charlie Sheen raped Corey Haim before he passed away in 2010 when he was like 13 or 14 years old in
Mm.
the set of that show Lucas. And then Corey Feldman also said someone on the set that he was working in who was supposed to be like, his mentor and his like a person who was supposed to be safe around his safe space ended up doing the oral copulation as well. So it's been happening. Like Hollywood has always had those pedos and fucking predators. And one thing when I grew up, when I was growing up, my mom always told me you could be anything you want, but what you're not gonna be is in the entertainment industry and be in Hollywood and all that shit. Because she knew. Everyone's known about that. We're Hispanic. We talk about menudo to this day.
Right? Listen, and that was another documentary I went that came out on Max a year ago
Hmm.
or a little over a year ago,
Last
maybe
year, I
two,
think.
that we definitely watched, and I definitely watched. But moving on, which is something that I correlated to this next story in case, and it takes me to Dan Snyder. We did not see this with Dan Snyder, although the documentary came out. Dan Snyder is not arrested. There's no charges that have been brought to him. Lucky white man, because now here we go to Diddy.
Mm,
Monday, the world was shook when
Mr. Freak.
Diddy's not one, but two of his houses were raided. His Beverly Hills mansion and his Miami mansion were both raided simultaneously by FBI, the National. I want to make sure I'm saying
Homeland
this.
Security.
Homeland Security, thank you. Um, with the help of obviously
Local police.
LAPD, local
Yeah.
police. In Beverly Hills, two of his sons were handcuffed outside. Obviously, maybe they weren't arrested, but handcuffed. It's crazy to me. And listen, it's not to take away from the possibilities of his alleged things that are being said and that he's being sued for.
Hmm.
It's just crazy, and it's sad to see how a black man is so quick. You know what I mean? Again, I want to take race out of it, but still, it sucks to see a black man being rated and the drama of it all. But yet, we have so many known. We didn't see this with Jeffrey Epstein like this in this magnitude, right?
We didn't get
Even
to
with
it. He
even
got
with Trump, we didn't. But he was arrested though. He was arrested, but
yeah,
in this
and he
thing,
was
we didn't see the breaking like a breaking like this that was all over. Let's even talk about Dan Schneider. We haven't seen that. That all the alleged stories. That we could go on of all these other people that we've heard many stories, but yet we didn't see something of this magnitude. But anyways, it all set it off. Cassie said, "Listen, I gotta say one thing. Cassie is one smart bitch. She is winning. You know why I say this? As you know, she basically sparked the flame of all this, right? Back in September. Diddy
mhm.
settled with it one day. She got money. millions. But this has opened a floodgate for others who have come forward and sued him. She settled quick, but she knew that this was opening the floodgates and that he was still going to go down, although she settled. So es como ella tiró la piedra, got her money, got her lick, and it's like, I still know he's going to go down just by the rock I threw. She's winning. That's all I got to say. I had this discussion. I'm like, yo, Cassie is smart. But with that being said, what are your thoughts with all of this? What has surprised you? Let's get into the nitty gritty of what is Diddy.
So with Diddy, aka Puff Daddy, aka Sean Combs, Mr. Freakoff, because that's what I like to call him, Freakoff.
Can't control his sexual compulsions.
I think with him is he thinks that he's untouchable, and like the shit that he's done in the past. Sean Combs has been acting funny since the day that Biggie Smalls died, since the day of his assassination.
Before that, there's stories that he raped.
Yeah, but
I'm done saying, stuff way in the early
90s. Like for a person you were so close to and like was your business partner or whatever, or like you managed them, you basically moved very funny since then. There have been so many artists that have come forward and have made like not accusations per se, but have given interviews and said things about how fucked up Diddy has been. Mace did it. What is this? Craig Mack, rest in peace. Black Rob, rest in peace. Andre Harrell, everyone that's around Diddy, if you notice, has passed away. Kim Porter, supposedly she was gonna come out with a memoir.
Yeah,
so
allegedly.
I think a lot of the things that are coming into fruition now. Yes, Cassie did open the door, but I don't think it was bound to happen. We're having in real time a surviving Diddy episode right now, and it's gonna get worse. And it's kind of weird. I noticed too, his son Quincy. Well, not his son.
Stepson. That's
stepson.
Kim Porter's son.
Kim Porter's son with I'll Be Short. He started, if you notice, like recently, he started like distancing himself from Diddy, and like he's only solely focused on his sisters, the twins, Delilah and Jessie. But as far as Diddy goes, like if all that shit is true and like his house being raided, I was reading the court records of like this producer that was on the Love album. Yes. And how on all the shit he was exposed to a lot of things. He said allegedly that Diddy and his son committed a murder, and he has like photo evidence to prove that, to back it up. He has a lot of other allegations.
And there's some screenshots and stuff that has been provided and shown out there by this producer.
And now there are people that worked in Motown Records and like in other and anyone who was affiliated with Diddy are now like taking deals to testify against him. So what does that say? He's not safe. And as far as when you were comparing the difference between like the Dan Schneiders and Jeffrey Epstein's house and ranch, I believe, did get raided. But when he did get arrested, I think it was an arraignment. So when he was going to get that hardcore trial, that's when he decided to, apparently die by suicide. But his day and time was gonna come regardless. With Dan Schneider, one thing that I did notice about Dan in the whole documentary was that he distanced himself once the pedophile conversation of Brian Peck and all that came about. And like as nasty as he was and perverted as he was, no one really came and really said like this man touched me inappropriately. Granted, he did like massage people, and that's fucking gross, and like try to tickle girls and stuff, but no one said that. So Diddy, I've heard different.
Listen, there's so much. For years, since I was a kid, I've heard, and I've said this before, I've heard the alleged rumors about Diddy. Listen, Diddy had Wendy Williams fired from Hot 97. Wendy Williams was back in the day on the radio on his neck about the shit that she heard on the streets about Diddy and a lot of people in hip hop. That's why Wendy Williams, is in ways hated as much as she's loved, also hated by many, as well. But she was on Diddy's neck back in the day when she was on radio, and
You know who's
Diddy
on
had.
Diddy's neck now? 50 Cent.
Oh, Diddy. 50 Cent's been on Diddy's neck, and oh yeah, that's a whole nother story. But it's just insane. Because once again, it goes back to what I said, what we were discussing with Nickelodeon. It's just, you know, I'm not. It's not. I'm not sad for Diddy. It's just, again, like someone who you've seen did great. Like, let's be real. Like, we still can't take away what Bad Boy did, the artist, the
Mhm.
music, the nostalgia, like the good music. Um, I'm about to see 112 this weekend, and they were part of Bad Boy. And I remember my
Mhm.
mom playing 112 music. So it's like you can't take away from the legacy, but
Yeah.
it's just it's sad in the sense that someone's, I don't
Freak
know
off.
what you even call it, the sexual compulsion, like freak off, like
It's not
desire.
even it's not even sexual compulsion. It's like the narcissistic tendencies, because it doesn't all have to be with like sexual encounters. You could do your freaky shit and keep it cute and keep it to yourself and private in the privacy of your own chambers.
And
But
lawful,
when you
no
endanger other
sex trafficking.
people, the sex trafficking, the disrespect, and treating people like they're shit, and basically doing the fucked up deals where you screw your artist over. Because I love Diddy. Don't get me. I loved with a D. I used to love Diddy, and I grew up listening
Same,
to Bad Boy records. I liked all the artists, still do to this day. We can't deny that he built an empire.
yeah, absolutely.
He
And
absolutely did. But you got to separate the artist from the person.
yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm not gonna listen. Whatever happens with Diddy wise, I'm sorry. No one better look at me twice if I'm pumping anything he's produced or had to do, or any artist that was on his label. Because one, the artists and people or whatever songs he produced from artists, they shouldn't suffer because of
They
his
suffered
fucked
enough
up
under
ways.
him.
Exactly. So, and you know what? I honestly feel, Melanie, too, he felt like this was coming. Because remember last year before he dropped the Love album,
Yeah.
how there was a report that he was giving back catalogs to his people
Hmm.
and giving them the
And
rights.
royalties.
It's
Yeah.
all, I felt like it was like, oh, how sweet. But now looking back and knowing what we know now, I feel like it was like he knew it was coming and he just wanted to paint this image. And look at me, I'm all about love. I'm love.
I
And
think
like,
people should have paid attention to the episode in Drink Champs where he was on with Fabulous and Jadakiss, and like he was getting drunk and talking, and Usher was there and talking recklessly and talking about baby this, baby that. We don't party no more. When, in the words of Cat Williams, when Diddy tells you he wants to party, you gotta say no.
listen, speaking of Usher, since you brought him up, some things just make sense. Now, everything coming out now, it makes you like some shit's like, huh. In an interview on Howard Stern, I believe, and back in 2016, I believe was the year, Usher was on Howard Stern, and basically, long story short, he spoke about his time when, because I mean, Usher's first album he dropped when he was only 15, 16. But the reason why it didn't do that great and take off like his second album, My Way, did was because one, and if you watch behind the music from
Yeah.
from back in the day with Usher, they say it. The content was too mature for a 15, 16 year old. It wasn't believable, so that's why it didn't hit. And who produced that first album? Diddy. Also, Usher basically lived with Diddy for a while.
Yeah.
Where Usher admitted in this interview with Howard Stern that he's seen a lot of wild shit. He didn't go into specifics, but that he's seen things. He's seen a lot of things, and in the same interview he's asked, "Will you let your sons go to this?" And he flat out says, and I quote, "Hell no." Another clip has come to surface of Justin Bieber with Diddy, where Diddy's saying, "Yeah," and we showing him good things, and he's not with me like with Usher, blah blah. I only got him for 2 weeks, blah blah blah. But we still gonna show him. And you see an awkward young 14-year-old Justin Bieber, just like
Yeah.
bobbing around like a bobblehead, just smiling. listen, listen. Justin Bieber has gone through mental health. Usher, surprisingly hasn't gone through some crazy shit besides being a player and sleep and going from woman to woman. So that may be tied to maybe some of his trauma. Justin Bieber, we know, has trauma and has dealt with mental health. It just makes you think the
Yeah.
shit like that people
That
see
rem-
in Hollywood.
that reminds me of this clip, this interview clip with Cameron from Dipset. He was like, well, Dipset no more, but Cameron said a long time ago he went to Diddy's house. Diddy had a penthouse here in Midtown, like the east side of Midtown. And he said that he went into one of the bathrooms and there was like a sex toy in the kitchen, in the bathroom sink, like a dildo or something. And that he asked Mace, because Mace was staying with Diddy at that time, and that Mace was just like, I don't know, that's what they be doing. They like to like hang out and do freaky shit like that, referring to Diddy and the people that he like hangs out with and does shit with. And apparently, it wasn't just women that were doing those freak offs. So
Yeah, I truly believe I could picture it. I picture it. In a sense, it's kind of hot, but as long as it's legal.
no, it's not
But
hot when he
I
has mules and like
no,
sex.
absolutely yes. It's not legal at that point if it's legal. But I could picture it like a big freak out party, men, women, all like just like I see it. I see it. Allegedly, I could see a lot of what's being said about him being true, and it's just sad. Like it's just sad what's going on. Do you think? I mean, there's been no arrest. There's been no
Yeah,
arrest. Another thing too, which this is the media. This is the day and age of world we live in. But like a lot of people were saying that he was trying to flee and go to
Antigua.
Antigua and not Barbados, but another one that starts with a B that kind of sounds like Barbados. And it's like he was trying to go on spring break with his two daughters, his twin daughters, and he got apprehended before he even took off. But it's crazy too. Like it's it kind of sucks living in our day and age because there's some truth, and then there's like social
Yeah,
media and the media trying to, with convoluted conspiracies that gets mixed into like so it's like a lot of like truths but not truths. Um, and then, but there's been no arrest. Diddy's not arrested yet, as of yet. No arrest, but he did have what they're calling his mule. Um, and I looked at this as reverse. What's I'm trying to find a politically correct word.
reparations.
Reparations, I guess, if you will. A Caucasian man, to be politically correct. 25-year-old Caucasian man. He used to be a basketball player. He got arrested and detained for what they found was what looked like cocaine.
Hmm.
And they call candy marijuana, but it's edibles. Edibles, basically. So he got detained for that. Obviously, I don't know if Miami has
He got
legalized.
possession of cocaine and possession of a controlled substance. And he said that he was Diddy's mule and claimed that the he would acquire guns and drugs for
Diddy.
Diddy.
Yeah. Well, Diddy's attorney came out with this statement that I shall read before we move on. His attorney, Aaron Dyer, says yesterday there was a gross overuse of military level force as search warrants were executed at Mr. Combs' residences. There is no excuse for the excessive show of force and hostility exhibited by authorities or the way his children and employees were treated. He adds Mr. Combs was never detained but spoke to and cooperated with authorities. Despite media speculation, neither Mr. Combs nor any of his family members have been arrested, nor has their ability to travel been restricted in any ways. He goes on to say the unprecedented ambush paired with an advanced coordinated media presence leads to a premature rush judgment of Mr. Combs and is nothing more than a witch hunt based on meritless accusations made in civil lawsuits.
Mm.
So
Sure.
we shall wait and see. A lot of people pointed out that this whole witch hunt and that whole statement sounded very much of something Donald Trump has said himself. Not
Mm.
my words, what other people are saying. Because you know I love to read the comments. But yeah, this is definitely something we're gonna be staying tuned to.
In the words of Diddy, the saga continues.
The saga continues, and I'm sure we definitely gonna be tuned into this. Because it's crazy. But let's put our focus and shift our gear to women. Listen, women should be celebrated. I know women go through a lot of things, and in this case, a woman was the one who, like I said, sparked the fire for what we now see with Diddy. Um, but just in general, women go through so much in life, and I feel our is a need to be celebrated, women. So it's Women's Month. How do you feel about Women's Month, and how do you feel about some people who think it's propaganda that Women's Month is nothing? It's nothing more, but to like deter away, basically propaganda. We have people like Candace Owens who have looked at this whole Me Too movement and women's right, and has opposed actually this whole movement. What do you say to that, and how do you feel as a woman in the month dedicated to women?
Well, I'm not gonna even address Candace Owens because what she says, I wipe my ass with that. As far as Women's Month and celebrating women, women should be celebrated all the time, all year round. We still are breaking barriers. We still have to break the glass ceiling, so to speak, in society and culture and the world all around. Um, I think a month doesn't. Same thing goes with Black History Month. A month doesn't warrant the time, but at the end of the day, I'm glad that people recognize it and are celebrating us. Um, I think that for me, I like to celebrate women of color, especially during Women's History Month, because there's a lot of things that women have done, but primarily women of color have created things, invented things, patent things, brought so much like history and like brought so much of their intelligence to the forefront that a lot to this day that we celebrate and do without knowing the history behind who
That's
created it, what happened, and why she decided to do what she did. So for any woman to say, especially like a woman of color like Candace Owens, to say that that's not cool or like that shouldn't happen, like shame on her. Like girl bye.
Listen, I had this
Um
conversation recently how it just sucks. Like I feel like from the beginning of times on this earth, there's just been like boxes, and I'm trying to find the right words, like boxes, and women are one of those boxes where it's like women have had to fight for equality. I feel like
Hello.
there's women who are smarter than men, or
Mhm.
the reason why some of these men are in their position because of hardworking women. I just think like, and when I say boxes, is that women have been held down because of what they have to offer,
Mhm.
because of the threat that the man, and I'll say man overall, but I feel like there's a particular man, but I'm not going to go there,
Mhm.
that tries to, doesn't want to feel threatened by that intellect that some women have. Because I'm sorry, there's some women out there that could be even greater than the Elon Musk, if
Yeah.
you ask me. It's just the position that women have been held, having to fight for same salary, being in same positions as another male, but the male is getting more money because he's a male. Like it's just things like that that I've seen throughout life and just heard of the fight and unfairness that it just boggles my mind, even as a man myself. Like it boggles my mind, and the fact that women have to fight for this right is just insane to me. But now I don't want to make it about color, but this is why, like you said, it is harder for women of color, black women, because women overall, but a white woman is is going to be seen over a woman of color.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
not only is it tough for all women, but then when you start breaking down the criterias and the section, I guess the section where we want to sectionalize white women, people, women of color, etc., it becomes even harder. So that's why I love women, and I think and it's great to celebrate women. Like you said, it shouldn't just be a month; it should be a constant movement to make things right and equal. Let's
Mhm.
not forget that women didn't start voting till a certain time. Um, so it's a lot. It's a lot, and it's still a movement. Like with many other things that need progression and need continuous conversations.
Agreed.
But on a lighter note, what are some? I have a little game for you that ties in with Women's Month called "Who's That Girl?" I am going to show you women, of celebrity women who people love, that have been that are women empowerment, and you are gonna tell me who's that girl. I'm gonna show you the girl picture, and you gotta guess who's the
You
girl.
want to show me like the baby picture?
The girl, well, not a baby picture, them as little girls. This is who's
Okay.
that girl, not who's that baby. Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Who is that girl? Who's that girl?
I was thinking Who's That Girl by Madonna, but okay. I don't know. Can you give me a hint?
You ought to know, honey.
Oh, Alanis Morissette. She had the little finger
Yes.
face. Yeah, so
Yes.
funny.
With a little bit of help. Yes, you got it. Next. Who's that girl? She's an actress.
She's an actress.
Hmm.
I can't tell who she is. You know, a lot of people change after they go to Hollywood, darling. Like
Halle
Halle.
Berry.
Did you hear what happened to
Yes.
Halle Berry recently?
Her doctor misdiagnosed her.
Yeah, saying that she
So
had herpes when she actually just had
wait,
like
wait, wait. Her doctor said she had herpes.
yes,
Not herpes.
yeah. He was like, this is the worst case of herpes I've ever seen. She was like, I don't have herpes, and it ended up being like
Menopause.
it was like
Pre.
pre-menopause or something.
Oh, that is
Whatever.
wild.
Yeah, but crazy.
Next, who's that girl?
Paris Whitney Hilton.
Yes, you got it.
The heart-shaped face. I will never forget. We have the same birthday.
Next, who's who's that girl?
That is Miss Diana Ross
Oh, you got
from the Brewster
it.
Projects of Detroit, Michigan.
Yep. Next, who's that girl?
She looks
Who's that
familiar.
girl?
Is this a housewife? That looks like Tamara
She is a
Judge.
singer,
She's a. Is
country
that
singer. Let me help you even more. Country
Shania
singer.
Twain?
There you go. Yep, you
I
got
got the
it.
same hair.
Next, who's that girl?
That's a black and white photo. I can't tell. Give me a hint.
Um,
If you
she'll
can't
survive
even give me.
cockroaches.
Oh, is that Cher?
Yes.
Come on, Armenian pride. Well, it's a black and white picture. Of course, it's Cher.
And last but not least, who's that girl?
That's Eve from the Philippines.
Yes. Of course, we had to have. If we're gonna name a game, who's that girl?
But like, why not Madonna? The song
I
"Who's
guess
That Girl"?
Madonna. Yeah, who's that girl? Could have been
I love
that
that
too.
song.
Yeah, me too. But I don't know. For some reason, I thought, who's that girl? Um,
That
that
was
was a
cute.
fun game. But so, how? What would you think? What would you say, going
Mm.
back to women, especially women who we are exposed to, obviously our parents, initially our grandparents, family women, um, that we get to see forefront. What would you say? Like for me, I was thinking about this the other day, like things I picked up from my mom
Mhm.
that like I see now as a grown up, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, one of the things is every time, and I don't know if I've spoken about this on the podcast that I've adopted from my mom,
Mhm.
like behaviors is like every time we moved to a new place, she had to change the toilet seat of the bathroom. So
Same. I
like
did
when
that
I
when I
move,
moved.
yeah, when I move to a new place, I always have to do the same thing too, like change the thing.
Same.
Or like with my grandmother, something I adopted, although I didn't like live with my grandmother like that, but obviously I will visit her and stuff. Something that I adopted from my grandmother that I even do now is I cannot sit on my bed or my couch in like outside clothes.
Everyone should practice that.
Like I
Everyone.
cannot now. I like
Especially in
I
New York, in the
especially
subway.
I said the same thing. I'm like we live in New York where it's like ugh, no.
Even sitting in
So
an Uber, like you're not safe.
yeah, so like those
Um,
are some of the things that I see some of the many things that I've adopted from like the woman in my life, like my mom and my grandmother. What about you?
I think um, my mom has taught me and my sisters to be the early bird. Early bird gets the worm every time. And it doesn't even apply for like working environment. It applies in everyday life. Even when you're off on a day, like on a weekday or a weekend, waking up early and getting all the shit that you need to do done, that makes you feel productive, and then that gives you the rest of the day to do whatever you want. So that's one thing, one attribute that I do love about my mom. My mom's very independent minded, and she raised us to believe and know our self-worth, but also to know that we don't need to depend on men to get things ourselves. Now, she went a little far out and like said fuck men and all this shit, but ultimately I know where she was coming from. One thing that I do admire about my mom also that I picked up from her is that like she's always worked in an industry that has been like mostly men. Working in law enforcement is mostly men, and now I work in hospitality, and hospitality is mostly men as well. And I'm starting to see even in the company I work for, there's becoming a shift where more women are being higher in power, and that excites me too as a woman, because in an industry where it's abundantly clear that it's these men who have been working there for years, for decades, you think that they will still run shit, but it's very refreshing to walk into like a corporate office or a corporate meeting and like the head person is a female. So that's one thing. That's like a few things that I did enjoy growing up and seeing. And then as far as like cleaning, that's very important. I
Yeah,
learned
my
how to
mom. Ooh.
clean
Mhm.
from my mom and the essentials, and it's like a starter pack. You can't just go into cleaning it just like randomly. It's a process. You gotta do it the right way. You gotta have the right music. You gotta have the right mindset. You gotta wear the
Yeah.
right clothes, the right tools.
My mom got me into that too, but I do still gotta say, like, I'm not like my mom. My mom, like, was OCD clean. Like, she would clean
My mom used
every day,
ammonia.
every day. Like my mom clean. I'm sorry, I'm not cleaning every day. Like, just you wipe your counter, you may sweep something, but I'm not
Mhm.
like during the weekend you do a full deep clean. But like when I say every day, my mom's like it was every like day, like
Yeah.
every day. It's like come on now, but but yeah, and honestly, another thing that I love that I adopted from both my mom and my grandmother, and I'm very thankful for this, is their, I'm going to use the word spirituality, the spiritual
Yeah.
aspect. That's something I definitely adopted, and I continue to grow in my spiritual faith. And I'm thankful that's something that was instilled in me. And again, I adopted from them.
Hmm.
Um, because, yeah, it's something I strive and just honestly, my spirituality is it's helping me continue throughout this life, and
Right.
trying to be the better person, a better person for myself and for others, and you know, and just surviving on this earth, like you know.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm happy I adopted from them is that spirituality.
Same. I think my mom, I adopted from my mom and my grandmother and my aunts, um, the faith that they have in God. Like my mom has had, there have been many situations in our lives where things have been thrown like curveballs and stuff, but my mom's faith always was bigger than her uncomfort. You know, like she never made. She always knew that there was always going to be like where there's a will, there's a way. She always knew that she was going to get back on her feet, whether it was a job didn't work out or a situation or with school. Because that's another thing. I grew up being very studious because of my mom.
Listen, as you speak, I'm thinking women are fucking strong. Period. Like women are the definitive definition of strength
Yep.
because even going back as we're growing up, like going back, looking back at our parents and stuff, like women have it's not many households that had the dads. You know what I mean? It's not many households like women. Moms have had to be the mom and dad. If the dad was in the picture in some way, but maybe the mom and dad were separated, the mom has to make excuses for the dad or why he's here sometimes and
Yeah.
not other times. And then that's for the, and then even worse for the dads that are not even there. Period. Women have a hard role that we really don't. I mean, we could. I mean, people do discuss and break it down, but it's not discussed as much
It's
out there,
not
especially in
taken
the
into
media.
consideration.
Exactly. Of all the shit that women have done, deal with, how strong women have to be.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I
It's a lot
also,
for women.
I also don't want to take away from women who don't work, like housewives, or women who are stay-at-home moms. Mentally, those are the most strongest people in the world. Being a stay-at-home mom or being a housewife, I think it's a job within itself. I wouldn't know, I don't have the experience, but I know people that are. And ultimately you have to be physiologically, mentally, emotionally, you have to be the crutch and support for your spouse, your significant other, for your children. And if you're not 100%, how the hell are you going to take care of someone else? So I think women that have those roles don't get praised
Credit
enough.
enough. Yeah. I mean, being a mom is a job within itself. Like, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Like, it's a job
All
within
my
itself.
friends that are moms or expecting to be, I'm like, God bless.
I think it's
I'll be a
just
rich mom.
easier. Yeah, it's easy to like for and shout outs to the dads too, but like it's I don't know, it's still even when it's let's say a mom and like let's say both parents are still in the house, I still feel like there's something about the mom.
Hmm.
Dad the dad's usually working. There's something about the mom that she's still doing more, or that the child still expects more from the woman.
The
You get what I'm
nurturing.
saying?
Yeah.
Exactly. Than from
Remember,
the men.
remember that the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding. There
Never
was
seen it, but
something you never.
I never cared for it.
Well,
Never
I've
cared.
never cared for a lot of movies that you've watched and you like gasp and go crazy when I say I had never seen it. But there's a part in the movie that the mother says, like, the father is the head and the mother is the neck. So we steer them in the direction.
Ooh.
And that has always stayed with me forever because it's not saying that women manipulate men, so to speak, but more so like
No, I get no.
men sometimes need direction and
Yeah,
sometimes women need direction too. But I want to say women don't get credit in a household for being the strong ones. There's behind every strong man, there's a stronger woman.
I do feel women are like because and this is a for a whole nother show, but men are emotional as fuck as well. Men get hurt easier than women, I feel. But that's
Mhm.
another discussion, another day. But very quick before we go, we want to give a big congratulations, a big shout out to the For the Love of Doe season 2 winners, Nigel and Rico. So shout out to
Hey.
them. Shout out to Nigel and Rico. This season 2. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched. This
Oh,
season
you should have led with that.
similar with that. Sorry, but I'll make sure to type it when I post it. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! But shout out to them. We already had the winner on the show, but
Yeah.
we have something cooking up soon. So stay tuned. That we're gonna have both of them soon on the show to talk everything, the remainder of the season, the winning, beyond the show. So stay tuned for that. We are working on getting them both on the show. We're excited for that. But we want to thank you guys so much for tuning in to our last episode of the month. The next week, tune in. New episode, same place, same time. We love you guys. You know the deal. Follow, like, subscribe, share. See you guys. Adios.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to follow, like, share, subscribe, everything the Inner Circle podcast, and catch us every Wednesday live at 8 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook.